Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of that FPL Show. Today, me and the boys are going to be going through everyone's business down in the January transfer window. We're going to decide which player you need to bring into your FPL team. Today, I'm joined by Rod. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad, mate. I support Aston Villa, so I'm excited to discuss our transfer business.
I feel like that's sort of like a dig to everyone. Yeah, I support Aston Villa, so fuck you. And I'm joined by the other Jack, Fieldzy. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, mate. I'd say it's been quite an interesting transfer window this one, so it'd be good to talk about
Yeah, I'm surprised Jack didn't go. I support Liverpool.
it.
We got Luis Diaz. Right, anyway, boys, let's get into it. I thought we'd start at Wolves. Very little activity going on at Wolves. They brought in a few players. They brought in Kawabe, but he's gone back on loan to Grasshopper Zurich. And I don't even know how to spell Coutinho's, I don't know, undisclosed fee. But they did make the full-time signing of Hwang Hee-chan, made it official. Obviously, he came in on loan from RB Leipzig in the summer. Now it's a done deal, 14 million. I think, what do you think about him so far, Rod, in the Prem? Has he showed much for you?
Mate, I didn't really know much about him when they signed him on loan, and I'd say bar maybe a game or two. I think he's been quite underwhelming. But I guess the striker position is a position where they lack in, and you can't go wrong with depth. He can also play on the wing, so I guess it's a good auxiliary option, but I don't think it's a standout signing by
Uh,
any.
I think it's kind of a good signing. I thought he's been quite effective for them. Could he do better? I'm sure he could, but other than that, I think he's been a good body for him. I think he's put in work. Jack, what do you think of the signing?
I thought he was a good signing as well. I always thought that when they brought him in on loan, I thought he played well, and he shows glimpses of being quite a good player, and like in a Wolves team that aren't the most creative, and especially when Jimenez was injured at the start of the season, he was a good body, like you said, Jack, and he puts in a bit of a shift, and he has got some goal returns. So I think for 14 million, can't really go wrong.
Yeah,
For a striker, I think that's a pretty good deal.
yeah,
Uh, he's quite versatile at the top as well for Wolves.
yeah. I agree with you, Jack. Sorry about cutting you off there. It's how well we haven't got our cameras on, but that will be coming soon to that FPL show. Mark my words. Right. Adama Traore, though, I think that's like the biggest deal which has really happened at Wolves. Obviously, they've loaned out quite a few young players, but they've loaned him to Barcelona. For me, I don't really understand the deal. I think if they were going to let him go, I think they should have tried to get a full transfer. And I don't think Barcelona were ever going to come in with a suitable transfer fee with the state the club's in at the moment. But maybe they could have sold him to Spurs with a loan to buy option or something like that. But I think it's a mistake, Rod, letting him go out on loan. I think Adama offers you something which a lot of players don't. I know his goal involvements and assists and goals hasn't been enough this year, but I think just having him on the pitch is he's a great athlete. He creates chances without actually getting assists. I feel like, Rod.
I think like a factor to bear in mind what we underestimate with a lot of players is I think a lot of them struggle to adapt to a different way of life over in England, different culture, etc. So it could be something for him that he's missed Spain. Obviously, he grew up in Spain, then he's been in England for what, a good 6, 7 years now, and he hasn't really particularly developed much as a player. He's still that raw talent, which you wouldn't have probably said he could be. But so he could just be wanting to go back home, and Barcelona, obviously, huge club, and back where it all started, really.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I know Wolves have got options though, Jack, and I know they've got Podence, Neto, and Trincao coming back now. Do you think it was a mistake to let him go or not?
I think that I think it is a bit of a mistake of not selling him and loaning him out because not sure what the fee is at the end of it. But if he turns out to be rubbish at Barcelona, he should just come in straight back. And I think he took a massive wage cut to go to Barcelona. So it almost appears like he doesn't want to be in England, doesn't want to play for Wolves anymore, and he'll take a pay cut to go play for Barcelona, where he might not even play as much, and they might not even keep him at the end of it. And I do think that Traore is one of those players where he may not have a lot of goal contributions, but he does create chances, and on his day he can be a real handful and player that is a bit feared as well. You see Adama Traore come on, you're kind of like, or he could create a.
He's big.
He's big and oily, and he can come on and create a goal or an assist. I just think it's a mistake not keeping him, but I think there might be a reason why Wolves let him go on loan.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about Jack, to be honest. Right then, West Ham, they were making desperate moves towards the end of the transfer window. They wanted a striker. They went for the guy, Darwin, what was it? Derwin, something like that, from Benfica, who's meant to be a highly touted striker. Couldn't get him. And then they went for Zapata from Atalanta, and they couldn't get him either. So no ins for them and no real outs. Did West Ham need to do business this transfer window, Rod?
I think every club needs to do business, but I think with West Ham, I think their depth is, I'd say, quite strong. I think they've got at least 2 or 3 players for each position, and the substitutions that they can make are quite strong. So obviously, striker is probably where they lack, and I can see why they went in for a striker. But it's always difficult to complete any business on deadline day, and this is when clubs can hold you to ransom for their players and demand extreme fees. So they could have done business, but I don't think West Ham fans will be too disappointed because it's a very settled squad, and it is a squad that's doing quite well.
I actually disagree with you a bit, Rod. I know I think you're right in a lot of ways, saying that they have got good depth in a lot of positions, but sorry, I think going for the striker, they definitely need a striker in this window. They're a team who's pushing for Champions League, and that 4th spot is definitely open for a club. I think there's maybe around 3 or 4 teams gunning for it. I think United, Arsenal, Tottenham and West Ham, they're all in a position where they can really push for it. And you also got to remember that West Ham are in the Europa League this year, and they've made it to the knockout stages. I do think a striker could have helped with that. What do you think, Jack?
I feel like if West Ham got a striker, they could have really pushed for Champions League. I think this is like a real good opportunity for them to get there, because that 4th place is so up for grabs. And I did think that in the striker position they were lacking like another striker, or like a backup or someone they could bring on to try and get a goal, because at the moment it's just Antonio up there, and luckily their midfielders like Bowen and Fornals have been chipping in as well. But having another target man, another goal getter, could have really helped them push to get Champions League and even get a bit further in Europa League as well, like having that depth, a bit more rotation rather than relying on Antonio up there, who has done pretty decent at the beginning of the season. But I reckon this was, in a way, for West Ham, now or never. Like, this is a really good opportunity for them to get in Champions League and really cement that 4th place spot, because they're playing good football. But say if they don't get Champions League this year, like, could go downhill from there without Champions League football. I think that they should have pushed for another striker.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. I think if you look at their squad, it's really strong overall, and I think their best player probably is Declan Rice, and it looks like he's probably going to leave in the summer. But maybe you could have convinced him to stay as well. If you can go and get Champions League football, and they've got 2 options to try and get with the Europa League as well. I think Antonio's always got an injury in him, and I think a striker would have been a real good bit of business for him. Unfortunately, though, they couldn't get hold of one. Next club is Watford. Now, they've done a lot of business this transfer window. They brought in 6 players. I'm not necessarily, the only one I really know is Nkulu. Other than that, though, a lot of African players coming in, which I think is a real good market for them. I think a lot of their squad is from the continent of Africa. They've got a lot of talent in their squad, but what's changed for them now is they've sacked another manager, Rod. Do you think Roy's got enough there?
I think they're the weakest squad in the league, but I do find it bizarre how I think this is their 4th manager since they've last kept a clean sheet. It's just crazy how they probably changed managers more times than I changed socks. Do you know what I'm saying? It's fucking crazy.
Fucking hell, how many pairs of socks do you own? 2?
I own 3. I change them every 3. But I don't know, 74-year-old Roy, if he does it, mate, then fair play to him. But if not, he's going to get a nice saucy payout. So I don't know. it's just I just find that whole situation bizarre, and it's a job I wouldn't touch with a barge pole.
Well, a good job for you, Rod. You're not going to get it offered to you anytime soon.
That's it.
Yeah, Jack, what do you think, mate?
I'll be honest, I haven't heard of really any of these players.
Yeah.
And it is good from the African, the African footballer like market. It looks like they're getting a lot of Africans in. I don't know if that's whether because like Sarr has been like such a standout player for them.
Honestly, their squad is like I would say over 50% of their squad is probably of African descent. I know they've got a lot of Moroccans in there. I think that counts as Africa, right? I'm not very cultured. Yeah, because they got Lusa, Messina. Truce de Kong, Nigerian. What's the guy, the striker who just got sent off?
Nigerian.
Yeah, Nigerian. A lot of their squad is from, but I think for them it does work out because of I think they get good prices on a lot of their players, and you don't ever hear of them like signing a player for over 20 million or anything like that, and they do get a lot of decent players for good value.
I agree, yeah, but I just feel like Roy Hodgson's just come into this job and they've signed all these players, and then I don't know if Roy's said who he wants to sign, or if the board have just said, we want these players, you do something with them for 6 months, try keep us up. I feel like not even Roy can keep these Watford up.
Yeah, and it is strange because you got to think about they were signing players. I think it's Edu Kayembe. He played in fucking hell, I've gone blank. What's his name? The Tinker Man. Rod. Ranieri. Sorry, man, my mind's gone blank. Yeah, but he was signed under Ranieri, and I don't understand a club which is signing players under one manager and all of a sudden getting rid of him. I think if they were going to get rid of him, they should have got rid of him straight away and brought in a new manager, see what he wants. But obviously, the club is changing managers over so often. They must have someone at the club who's deciding these transfers for him, Jack.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. Like if you can compare him to Villa, who've done it perfectly. But I know we'll come back onto them later in the episode. Whereas they got their new manager in with plenty of time to see what's needed, what areas need improvement, and then they've gone out and replaced those positions. And I feel like Watford, they've signed players that the old manager want Ranieri, and then they've just sacked him a bit later and given Roy Hodgson all these players that he probably would have never even heard of or wanted to sign.
Yeah,
it's very interesting, and I can only see Watford going down.
Yeah, I think they probably are our, favourites to go down at the moment. Oh, here's a juicy club to talk about, boys. Tottenham Hotspur. I think they did some brilliant business towards the end of the transfer window. A lot to get into with these. So Bendica's being brought in from Juventus for 16 million. Rod, I know this is a player that Villa were really heavily interested in. Obviously ended up going to Spurs. What's your thoughts on the player, and what do you think you can offer to Spurs?
So I've heard various things from different parts of mainstream media, the majority of which said we were interested, but then I have also seen some reputable sources saying that we didn't even lodge a bid. So it's hard to know what to believe. I guess looking at it from both sides, I can see why you picked Tottenham. I can absolutely see it. And if we were interested, then that is fair enough. But from the other side, that we've definitely got the money. I'm sure Gerrard, one of the best midfielders to ever grace the game, would have been able to convince him. I mean, he convinced Coutinho, which we're going to get onto. But I think it's probably a good signing for Spurs. I don't really know too much about him. I know he can play six, but he's more of quite a dynamic six, but not quite an 8. I guess it's probably going to mean Højbjerg and him play in the centre, meaning Skip wouldn't really get any game time. But I think it's a good signing. 16 million for a Champions League player who's played over 50 games for Juventus. I guess you can't really go too wrong.
Yeah, I mean, so many things to get into what you just said there. Like, first of all, Gerrard, one of the best midfielders to ever grace the game. Man, you've changed your tune since he's become your manager. Bloody hell. Anyway, I think you're right, though. I think if Villa really wanted him, you see the price that he's come into at Tottenham, I think you would have gone in for him. And I think the fact that you didn't make a bid at all kind of shows that you probably weren't interested, probably looking at other options like Basuma. But like you said, I think this is a good signing for him, because I do like Winks, but I don't like him alongside Højbjerg. I think he'd probably be good with someone like Bentancur alongside him. I think, though, this dislodges Harry Winks, and I think that's something that Spurs have desperately needed to do. I think he slows the game down too much from too many sideways passes. Jack, do you know much about Bentancur?
Yeah, I've seen him a few times. I've always thought he was quite a tidy player. He's only 24, and he's got loads of caps for Juventus. He plays regularly for Uruguay, like a key player for them as well. He's just a tidy player that I'm sure that Serie A have plenty of these midfield maestros. But I do think he improves Tottenham's team. Just a bit more calmness on the ball, and just someone who can not run the show but control the tempo a bit. Definitely an upgrade from Ndombele, who's the midfielder they let go on loan, and so I'm sure he's just a bit of a replacement for them. But I think he offers the Tottenham team a lot more balance, and you can't go wrong for just over 20 mil for a 24-year-old. Who
on TalkSport, it's saying 16 million. So,
gone off Sky. So
if I could just
even 16, 22, I think that's a bargain.
Yeah, even
to be honest, if Villa really wanted him, they would have paid more, and I reckon they would have got him.
Yeah, go on, Rod, mate. Sorry.
Just back onto more chronicles of where my friends live. So another friend in Italy who has a season ticket at Juventus. I messaged her when we were interested, saying, "What's he like?" And she goes, "He's not a top player for sure. Let's say a good one." So I guess he suits Spurs quite well.
Yeah, he's got that Spurs mentality already. No, but I just think. I think Jack said an upgrade on Ndombele. I think Ndombele could be a player he's got a lot of talent. I'm not sure if he's going to be an upgrade in terms of the quality of player, but I think what he is going to do is bring a more consistent, performance to the Spurs side. I think they're just looking for someone to sit alongside Højbjerg, because I think Højbjerg is a really good midfielder. To have him alongside them, I think it'll work out quite well. The other signing, though, I didn't think that Bentancur was going to be a big FPL guy you're going to be looking to bring in, but I think this guy could be. Kulusevski from Juventus, Ukrainian, right? Big talent for Ukraine. Rod, what do you think about this signing so far? I think it's a loan to start with, but I think there might be a buy option in there as well.
Well, you got to tell you got the flag colours right, mate, but unfortunately he is Swedish.
Swedish, that's the one, my bad. You know what? They're so similar. They could be like the same nation.
So I've heard good things about him. He's very highly rated. He is 21, so he is still a babby. But I've been looking at some stats, and for me, they are quite underwhelming in a very good Juventus team. And this year, he's played 20 games, scored once and assisted 3 times. Obviously, there is still time to develop, and he's coming under one of the greatest managers currently in the world. So I think he's definitely going to improve. But I do want to say that he could definitely be a fantasy option, depending on where Antonio Conte does want to play him. At 6 million, I think he definitely enters the ballpark of whether we want him in our teams. But I guess only time will tell.
Is he coming in as a midfielder as well in FPL as well, Rod?
He is, but I think I've seen things where he's going to be playing wing back, so that kind of takes away from him actually being FPL.
I think in terms of that, though, I think it's likely he's going to play wing back, coming from the fact that it turns out Traore turned down Spurs because they were looking to play him at wing back. What do you think about that, and Jack?
I think overall, that it was sort of a rushed signing. Like, obviously, definitely not their first choice. I don't think they're going for Diaz and Traore. And I do think, he's young, but overall, I think he didn't live up to the expectation of the hype. a Juventus, but that's understandable because he's still quite young and had time to grow. But I just don't think that that's what Spurs need right now. Someone who they need to develop and push forward, especially in like on a loan. Well, I just think it'll be a difficult choice for FBL. 6 mil is a good price, but it depends if he is playing as one of Spurs attackers or playing wing back. I've never really seen him play, but looking at his positions on FIFA, I don't know if he can play wing back or if he'll be any good.
Fucking hell. All right, sorry. Yeah, right. Quickly though, we've got to go through some of these Spurs outs. Giovanni La Salso, I think it's a real disappointing one for Spurs. Obviously, he's gone on loan now to Villarreal. Just really hasn't worked out for him, Rod.
He's never really been a player that I've been mesmerised by. I guess he adds good depth. He's quite a good squad player, but looks like Antonio Conte doesn't have any passengers in his team.
Oh, okay. Brian Hill, Jack, I'm really confused by this one. If they are looking for him to go out and get some development, why have they sent him to Valencia? I think, if anything, a Premier League move or a Championship move would have suited him better.
Yes, an odd one. I don't know if he even played for Tottenham or even started. It's just a strange one. I think was it a swap deal with Lamella for Brian Hill, and I'm just really confused about this signing. And then to send him out on loan to a Spanish team, that's just where he might not even play or develop. When there are probably plenty of Prem teams that he could have gone to and really developed and got a bit of experience. I don't really see that. I don't think Conte sees him as a future star to them. Just wants him to just go out there and get a big experience rather than sitting on the bench. Same with Lo Celso. I just don't think that Conte's looked at him and gone, "You're not the type of player I need. Let's just get you your wages off the books."
Yeah, and the last... Oh, sorry, Jack.
I just don't think that these two players, maybe Gil more than Lo Celso, but they'll come back to Spurs and play. In all honesty.
The last big outing was Tanguy and Ndombele. He's gone back to Lyon on a loan with a buy option for around, I think something around between 40 and 50 million. Lastly, from you, Rod, bit of a shame this one didn't work out.
I'm actually really I just dislike him as a character. I think his ego is huge, and I do want to say, Jack, that they did also ship Dele Alli to Everton for 40 million.
Yeah, that's at the fucking bottom. Yes. Yeah.
So I thought I'd get on to Dele Alli because he's a player which I do.
We'll get on to Ali.
Back on when he was at MK Dons, Aston Villa were interested in him. He did choose to go to Spurs, and under Pochettino, he's an incredible player. And I think this is, if they can get Dele Alli playing, which I'm sure Lampard will be able to, I think he could be a very, very good player for them. And 40 million, so it is quite steep.
No, it's not 40. We'll talk more about him when we get to Everton. It's a free transfer, but it could rise to 40 with add-ons and if he plays a certain amount of games, this and that. But we'll talk more about Dele Alli when we get to Everton, I think. In terms of Southampton, I mean, they're not really worth talking about. They brought in Willy Caballero on a free, and to be honest, with the position the club's in, I think they're doing okay. No real need to bring anyone in, so I think we should skip them and get straight onto Norwich, Rod, where Dean Smith's been brought in and he's been allowed to bring in absolutely fucking nobody. And they've also shipped out Todd Cantwell. Any opinions on this one, Rod? Obviously, ex-Villa manager, zero backing.
I mean, I can imagine what it's like when you go from Aston Villa, who have a ridiculous amount of money, to Norwich, who have zero money, and Dean Smith's net worth is probably more than the club itself. So I'm not surprised, and it does just scream relegation. But whether they will keep him up or not, I guess that's a different story. But I'm not surprised they spent no money.
What about you, Jack? Obviously, they did bring in a lot in the summer. I think Dean Smith did say when he came into the job that, he knew the situation the club was in and that they've already spent a lot of money in the summer and they weren't looking to spend any in January.
Yeah, I think this is a acceptance that they're probably very likely to go down. and the club has sort of accepted that we'll go down, we'll be in the Champions next year, and let's wait till the summer and sign players to get us back into the Prem, like Championship players, that's players of that caliber, rather than trying to sign Championship players now or players from abroad, and then them sit in the club and lose game after game after game, really like knock their confidence a bit. So I think that's where I sit, that they're just going to wait till summer to sign people, I reckon, rather than bringing them in now. Yeah, they might gel with the team, but they'll be just probably getting battered every week, and it's probably no good for nobody coming in.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that, but I do feel like Dean Smith, for him though, they've got a pretty decently sized squad, and I think that he's probably quite confident in the fact that he can get more out of these players, and I don't think it's as simple as maybe them just like admitting defeat already. I know I've talked about them in the past, they're a yo-yo club, and I really dislike the fact that they just didn't show ambition. But when they brought in Dean Smith, it did show ambition to me, because you know, they were stuck with Farker for so long, and I think Dean Smith's done a great job so far. Obviously, just got the win against Watford, and I think it'd be interesting to see what can happen still with Norwich. I'm not writing them off just yet. But Rod, this is the team a lot of people are talking about at the moment. I'll let you kick it off again. What did you think about Newcastle's transfer window? Obviously, able to bring in 5 players.
I mean, it was the transfer window I can imagine a lot of Newcastle fans are quite pleased with. I think it was a good transfer window for them. I wouldn't say it was amazing. I wouldn't say it was poor. I think there's probably enough quality there in the signings for them to stay in the league. I think they did sign some big players who should be able to keep them up. Namely, Chris Wood, Target, Bruno, Guimarães, and Trippier, and there's one more.
Dan Burn.
Who's the other one?
Dan Burn from Brighton.
Exactly. So a lot of English players there. I think it's a good transfer window for them, and for me, they will stay up now because they've reinforced the positions which they needed and kind of introduced a spine.
Okay, Jack, what did you think? Did you think good transfer window, or because I'm a bit on the fence, to be honest.
I think that they've had a good transfer window. I think that in terms of sort of the value they've got from the players, is they've overpaid, but I think that they've, with this transfer window, of getting 5 players in positions that they needed, might not be the best value for money or the best out there, but they were the players that they could get at the time. And I think that they basically just, in a way, bought their promotion. Not promotion, bought safety. Like not relegated. I think they've just signed players a bit over the top in terms of price, but players that will come in and impact straight away. Especially, I think Chris Wood and Trippier, Matt Target, they've all had Premier League experience, and Dan Burn, that they'll just come in and make Newcastle. Won't really overhaul them, make them much better, but they will make them better, and I think good enough now to stay up. So they just basically bought themselves not getting relegated.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence personally. I think the things I really like about their transfer window, I do like the 4 more defensive players. I think Bruno Guimarães from Lyon is a great signing. I think he's a really talented midfielder, and I'm surprised he hasn't actually gone to a bigger, a Champions League club already. Matt Target, I do like as a signing on loan. I think he's I don't think he's going to offer much going forward, but like Rod said in the past, he's quite good defensively. Dan Burn, another man who can play multiple positions. He can play in the back 3 as centre back. He can also play left back as well, and I like that signing. Again, Kieran Trippier, I think he offers them a lot with set pieces and a high quality player. Used to playing in the Premier League. Also just left the La Liga champions Atletico. It was a big move for them. But the one I'm really stuck on is Chris Wood. I hear a lot of people going, Premier League quality striker, this and that. He scored so many goals over the year, but I just think it's mind-boggling, the 25 million for Chris Wood. I think they could have got someone a lot better for a similar price tag, and I think they could have gone to the Championship as well. You've seen Kiefer Moore of of Cardiff City moving to Bournemouth for just over 3 million. I think he's a really good striker who could have offered something to his Newcastle side. I just don't know if they've got enough at the top end of the pitch to actually scoring the goals, but I'm very impressed with some of the signings they've made, especially defensively.
Big shout out to Matt Targett, who's too much of a beta male to compete for his position in the Aston Villa squad.
Oh my god, you're such a fucking... Oh, really? They just signed one of the Premier League's best left backs. He's not exactly going to compete with him, is he?
He should be up for the challenge, because every squad should have multiple players in each position, and there should be competition. And I think Matt Targett, he probably should have stayed, and it's disappointing that he didn't. But
I think
I can't
you're
blame
talking
him.
out your arse.
I don't blame him for wanting to get regular football.
I think you're talking out your arse with that one, meant to try and compete with Digne. God, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you're wrong about that one, Rod. Manchester United. This is a team that did loads of business, Rod. I can't believe they haven't brought in a striker, a CDM. Sorry, Rod.
I mean, the position that you've been crying out for probably over a year now, a position you quite clearly need, and nothing arose. And I think you had a lot of outgoings, so your depth has been diminished a little bit, and you haven't brought anyone in. So I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, and personally, I really like a lot of these loan moves. I love Ahmad to Rangers. I watched the Rangers game the other day. I thought he was quite good. I thought he offered a lot to the team. Tuan Xavier, I just don't think he's going to have a future at United anymore. It just really hasn't worked out for him, especially on the loan move to Villa. Ethan Laird at Bournemouth, again, another good loan deal. Tendon Mengi to Birmingham City. I watched him play the other day as well. Happy for him. I'm really happy to see Donny van der Beek hopefully get first team football at Everton, and Martial obviously wanted out. But the thing I just don't understand is they've made such a big deal out of keeping Jesse Lingard and Dean Henderson and players who desperately wanted to go. And the owners of this club are so fucking backwards. I think it's disgusting, really, that there was chances for them to go and get a CDM for fucking less than 10 million. They could have got Zakaria for 5 million. They could have got Benjamin Kamara for a similar price. But just to have that complacency of, we're probably still going to get top 4, so it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But that's how they think. I think it's just wrong. Jack, what do you think about United's dealings in the transfer window?
Yeah, a bit disappointed with them. I don't think they're really overlooking during it, when they should have seen this as a time for let's get an improvement in window rather than just sending out players on loan. I think they could have got someone like, especially Zakaria went to Juve for dirt cheap, and he definitely would have really improved your team. I just really don't understand it, that how you haven't signed anyone, or why there's been no intent to sign anyone.
Yeah,
really.
And the club, coming from Fabrizio Romano the other day, that United were actually offered from Marseille, Benjamin Kamara. The club just shows complete complacency and lack of ambition, and it's going to bite them in the ass eventually, because you're seeing teams like Newcastle, Villa, they're showing ambition, and at the end of the day, there's only 4 spots for the Champions League. And at the end of the day, you want to be up there fighting. There's already 3 teams who are clearly better than us, and there's 2 more who really want to be that sort of team. And it's going to bite them in the ass, I think, Rod.
I think, Manchester is blue, hey?
Just like Birmingham. Right, yeah. I think it's depressing me enough. Let's go on to City. No actual incomings which are going to happen right now, but they have signed Julian Alvarez. He's been loaned back to River Plate until the end of the season. Rob, this is a guy who's linked with United and Villa. For 50 million, I think it's a really good signing for City. He's not coming in straight away, obviously, but to come in the future, I'm sure he's going to have something to offer them.
I think 100% Villa were in talks with him over the summer, apparently. Obviously, United were interested, so a lot of big clubs were interested in him. So he's quite clearly a talent. I don't know too much about him, but I know he's quite an exciting young player, and obviously he's got ages to develop, and he's basically going to have to fight for one of those front three spots that City play. So I guess it's going to be interesting to see more talent in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think so as well, Jack. I don't think Liverpool were ever linked with him, Jack, but I think still decent signing for City. And overall, they didn't need to do anything for now necessarily, but to continue to show that ambition and to get deals done before the summer, I think is it just shows how the club is really well run from top to bottom, Jack.
Yeah, they didn't need anyone, and I haven't really heard of this guy either, but on Sky it's saying 14 million for a young player who can only go up really under Pep, and it's a position that sort of City were looking at, and if they can get a young player to come through the ranks and really develop a bit like Jesus, with just extra for them, I think Pep can improve anyone really, especially young players. And they just didn't really need to sign anyone really. I thought maybe a left back they could have gone for. I do still see that as City's weak point, and they did have Ferran Torres going out, so they did have even though they've always got money to spend, that like they did have one big outgoing that they could have maybe got maybe a left back, but that's just the one weak point of City I see. But again, they've got Cancelo playing there who's been outstanding, and you can't play both Cancelo and Walker at right back. So maybe that's City see that Cancelo to get Walker and Cancelo in is that him go left back, which I can fully understand as well. But City didn't really need anyone.
Yeah, and I think on that, Jack, I think with City, they're very like, as soon as there's a problem, they're straight onto it. And I think Walker is a player who's going to slowly be eased out of this team. He's only getting older, like everyone. And, he's reaching an age now where it looks like he's probably not going to be a City player for, like in 3 years' time, he's not going to be at City probably. And whether that's moving Cancelo back to right back or bringing in a right back or a left back, I'm pretty sure City will get it done. Right, Jack, onto your team, Liverpool. No real big outgoings other than Nico Williams, who got a loan move, and Nat Phillips to the Championship. Luis Diaz, though, Jack, is coming from Porto for around 45 million. First of all, thoughts on the signing? Happy?
I'm very happy with this signing. They've been in talks with him for a while. That always see it on my Twitter saying that we're linked with Diaz. Like, this is his release clause and everything. We're going to wait till the summer to activate it. And I always think that if you really want someone that bad, like why wait? And I think that's what Liverpool have done. They've seen that Spurs were interested and sort of made them play their hand and get him. I think that's a real good signing. I think that from what people have said about the Portuguese league, that he's by far one of the best players. His like statistics of like goal contributions and assists have been incredible this season. Like, I know it's the Portuguese league, but you've got to be a decent player to be getting like 18 goal and assists in 18 games. And the structure of the deal is I think Liverpool are only playing like it's 3 installments over 3 years, and it's just like by the end of the third year, we forget how much like how cheap he was.
But it's like when I buy thing on Amazon.
Yeah, the Klarna. 3 interest free payments. Just happy to get it over the line. It's just nice for Liverpool to have more options. I've always said that Liverpool's squad depth is not the best, and one reason we're not really challenging as much as City. And I do feel that in this Klopp era, we should have won more. And I do think it is just our squad depth that hindered us. I think it's an amazing signing. I think Klopp will do what he does and just give him time to settle. Don't think he'll start much in the first couple of months.
Okay. I think that's interesting as well when it comes to FPL, the fact that you don't see him starting necessarily. But I think it is a good signing in the fact that I think Sadio Mane has definitely shown some complacency, maybe over the past couple years, maybe. And I think someone to push him is definitely a great signing for that reason. But I think it's also looking more and more likely that either one of Salah or Mane might not be at Liverpool next season. And I think it just shows, again, like Liverpool are a top club and they're well run. Like, as soon as there's a chance to go get their man, I think a lot of teams don't like to do business in January, but I think Liverpool have proven that you can do good business in January, and they just jumped on the chance straight away, swooped them away from Spurs. Rod, Jack said he doesn't see him playing necessarily straight away for Liverpool. Are you in the same sort of position as Jack? You don't see him playing straight away?
I mean, obviously FPL is 8 million, so he definitely straight away, and we know Klopp does like to embed his players slowly, and obviously I think Jack's probably quite right in I can see him maybe coming on off the bench for a 10-20 minute cameo every game, but I don't think he'll be starting for a good 6-7 games. So at 8 million I probably won't be coming into my team, but he does look like quite an exciting young player who I'm sure is going to grace the Premier League in his own way. So yeah, big signing for Liverpool, and you're probably quite right in saying one of Salah or Mane won't be there. Who won't be there? It'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, Leicester, literally nothing to talk about really on them. They brought in Manny Richards from Arsenal, but that's about it. And outgoings, nothing surprising or out there. So we'll skip them as well. On to Leeds, they brought in Mateo Fernandes, who I couldn't tell you who he is at this current moment in time. Literally no real deals for them either. Drama's gone on loan to Cardiff City, and Ryan Edmondson to Port Vale. So we'll skip them. Other than that, though, Rod or Jack, do you think Leeds needed to do any business? They've been really injury-stricken this season. I think a lot of their players are coming back to full fitness now, but they've had a bit of an unlucky run.
What we know with Bielsa is he does like to keep his squad quite bare, and he kind of likes to have his 11 recognised players and then a lot of youth on the bench. So, in my opinion, I think they probably should have made at least one or two signings just for a bit of depth, to cover places they're not too strong on, namely a number 10 or like a box-to-box midfielder. Well, obviously Phillips out till I think at the end of this month. But yeah, I think they should have made some signings, but I'm not surprised that they didn't, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Anyway, Rod, you wanted to talk about Dele Alli. Well, now we're on Everton, so let's talk Dele Alli. What do you think of the signing? Obviously, it's free, but with performance bonuses, number of appearances, I think it is, and stuff like that, could rise to 40 million. A good deal for Tottenham and Everton, potentially?
I think 100%. What I don't like about Dele Alli is his character and his ego. I think he seems like quite an unpleasant person to work with, where obviously Conte and Mourinho haven't really favoured him, which does say something. But I think under Lampard, new leaf, new page, probably a good deal for both clubs, and like a midfield of Van der Beek and Dele Alli with Decore Alan also in there. It's quite an exciting midfield, to be completely honest. And at 25 years old, he's still relatively young, and he does still have time to develop. But it's whether he has the correct mentality to do so, which we haven't really seen it as of yet, where his progress has kind of stagnated in recent years.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting move as well to see him go up, more as a second striker up alongside Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he could add a couple goals to Everton. And Everton aren't in a great position at the moment. Obviously, just bringing in Frank Lampard, I think they're only maybe 5 points clear of the bottom three, something like that. I think the other signings you've got to look at is Donny van der Beek on loan. Thoughts on that one, Jack?
I think business Everton's done has been quite good. To be honest, they brought in some big names that we've heard before, like Dele Alli, Van der Beek. They got El Ghazi in there for a bit more depth. Obviously, a left back to replace Digne. But I think if anyone can get the best out of Dele Alli and even Donny van der Beek would be Lampard. I think Lampard and Dele Alli play, not comparing them at all. I just do feel like Dele Alli is sort of like wants to be a goal scoring, attacking midfielder.
He's a B-Tech. He's a B-Tech
I'm
Lampard.
not comparing Ali to Lampard one bit. And I also think he can get the best out of Donny van der Beek. I'm really excited to see him play finally in the Premier League, like regularly. I've always been a fan of Donny van der Beek. I've always thought that he would have been a better signing for us than Thiago when that happened at a similar time. So I'll be excited to see him play, and I do think that you look at Everton's midfield, it's got some big names in there, and you'd hope that they can perform and hopefully stay up. They shouldn't really be fighting for relegation with the names they've got in their team.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well to see, what sort of system they're going to play, because I thought Donny van der Beek, when they were like, obviously it was pretty much done before the transfer window anyway, transfer deadline anyway. But I was surprised that they went on to sign Ali, because I thought he was going to play at 10 for them. I'm a bit disappointed from a Manchester United fan point of view, and the fact that Donny has gone to Everton. I really would have liked to see him at Crystal Palace. I think at Crystal Palace he definitely would have been playing 8. I do think he's going to play 8 now at Everton, but I'm not sure if he's going to be starting every game for them, because I don't know what sort of system they're going to play right now. But Doucouré and Allen, I was impressed with them at the start of the season. For him to come in, I think it would be replacing Doucouré, but we have to wait and see on that one. Okay, Crystal Palace, literally nothing done. They've just made the signing of Mateta, the loan signing, full transfer now, 8 million. I think it's a decent signing. He hasn't really offered them too much, but he's still quite young. Chelsea, fuck all, just loan signings again. Burnley, though, this is a deal I really like. Weghorst coming in from Wolfsburg, half the price of Chris Wood, who they got 25 million for. I'll start with you, Rod. This guy's coming from Wolfsburg, who are 4th place at the moment in the Bundesliga. He's obviously a quality striker. He's a Dutch international. For half of the price of Wood, how good of a signing do you think this is?
I think they've signed the Dutch Chris Wood. I do quite like it. A 6'6" beast. So he clearly fits Burnley's agenda in the way they're going to play, and I would not be surprised if he does outscore Chris Wood.
He will, because
it's at 6.5 million with all Burnley's games in hand. He's definitely an FPL option, and I will probably be looking to bring him in as soon as I see him starting regularly. Obviously, I don't know how up to speed he is with obviously fitness, etc. But with a lot of games in hand, I think he definitely could be an option at 6.5 million. And it's going to be interesting to see the way Burnley play.
Long balls, mate. Jack, I think it's a great deal just because of the fact that Newcastle jumped in 25 million. I didn't understand the signing. And like when you see Burnley are bringing in a player of his quality, his Dutch international as well, I think it just speaks volumes about how Newcastle just went regardless of the money. I know they thought they were weakening Burnley, but like I said before, I think they actually strengthened them because they gave them the money to go out in the transfer market and make a signing, as big as Weghorst.
Yeah, potentially. It looks like a really good deal compared to the 25 mil for Chris Wood, like half as much. But I do think that is just Newcastle being like, I want to take
I want it now.
I want one of our relegation rivals' main goal threat out of their team. He can go into ours. We'll pay whatever it takes to get him. And I think that Burnley have gone out and got a very similar player, if not better. And I do feel like what Roger was saying about the FPL price, 6.5, I think that's a real good shout as an option. The way that Burnley play, I don't think that... I do think that he might start straight away. Just like... I haven't seen much of him, but 6'6", he's going to be a header round the box,
a handful
merchant. I think he'll just I think he could start straight away because I think they don't need to be. They're not too tactical, Burnley, going forward. They're just going to hoof it forward to him, and he's just going to be a body up front that will get him a few goals.
Yeah.
So I think it's good business by Burnley, and they're definitely not lying down and just accepting it. And I think I've made an upgrade on Chris Wood for half the money.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see him play, honestly. I think he could take to the Premier League really well. The next club is Brighton and Hove Albion. Not a whole lot to talk about, to be honest. Obviously, they have lost Dan Burn, which I think is a shame, but in terms of, how the club is run, the manager they've got at the moment, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal to them. The next team to talk about is Brentford. And I love the Christian Eriksen deal. I think it's a brilliant signing. Obviously, we don't know how good he's going to be after the tragic incident in the Euros, which is really hard to watch. But coming back, he's going to have a chance to show what he's all about. Hopefully, he's still, at least somewhere around the level he was, because he was a brilliant Premier League player before he was moved to Inter. What do you think we're going to see, Rod?
Once again, yeah, I'm really pleased this deal did go through, and it clearly shows his love for the game and how much he wants to play football. Obviously, I don't think he's played professional football for a good 7 months. So in regards to his fitness, it's going to be difficult to know where he is with it. And I'm just excited to see him back on the pitch because he's a very exciting player. He offers a lot to the attack, and especially from set pieces where he can whip in a mean ball. But I'm pleased to see him back in the Premier League, and I'm really happy for Brentford because I think it's a fantastic signing. And obviously the youth can learn off Eriksen, who has played in at the highest of the levels. So really, really good signing. And 5.5 million in FPL, that could be godly.
Yeah, I really love the price. It's just going to be about how quickly does he come in. Obviously, he has been training for quite a while. It was just the fact that he couldn't get he couldn't play in Serie A due to their rules around. I don't know exactly what it was, but something to do with the heart, obviously. Jack, 5.5 million, really tempting, right?
A bargain. A set piece specialist who's gonna really improve Brentford, I reckon, once he starts playing. Like just a bit of quality in their midfield. And I do remember when he played for Spurs, he's a hard worker as well, and I really think he'll really take to Brentford well and really fit in. I do think 5.5. Once he starts playing, like there's always that doubt that he hasn't played in 7 months, but he wouldn't have been sat on the sofa doing nothing and doing fuck all for that 7 months. He'd definitely been keeping himself fit. Yeah. And I think he might come into the team quicker than people think with him not playing for 7 months. I think he'll be there and ready to go. And I just think 5.5, he just can't really say no to that. Yeah. It's just whether he'll play consistently.
Yeah, I think everyone needs a cheap option in their midfield. And for me, Eriksen, I might give it a game week or two to see if he starts, and then I'll bring him in, I think. But for me, it's a really great bit of business from Brentford because obviously they do have a lot of Danish players in their team already. And also the fact that they signed him on a 6-month contract where, if unfortunately he isn't the player he once was, they're not tied into a player for, 3, 4, 5 years. And if he is great, they can get a deal around to keep him at the club for a bit longer. I'm really excited for him. Really glad to see him back in the Premier League. Hopefully it's not too long until we see him start. Rod, go on then, talk us through Villa.
Mate, for me, I'm going to give this transfer window an 8 out of 10. I'm pleased with the business we did. I think we did some shrewd business, but we were crying out for a defensive midfielder from the very start. We've been crying out for one for a good few months now because obviously Marvelous Nakamba got a brutal injury, so he's out for a good few weeks. So not getting a defensive midfielder is a bit of a shame, but bringing in a top-class left-back in Luca Dean, bringing in Coutinho, obviously Callum Chambers for some defensive reinforcement on a free transfer, brought in a backup goalkeeper. and I'm pleased. I'm definitely pleased with the signings, and it is quite an exciting team. And under Gerrard, we're going places. So I'm excited to see how it all pans out. And Luca Dean as an FPL option is going to be incredible. I think on his debut, he got 12 points,
Yeah.
clean sheet, and assist bonus. So I think that's just more of what's going to happen in the future because Luca Dean, top class player, and obviously Coutinho. The quicker he gets up to speed, the more we're going to see of him, and a very exciting FPL option. And
Yeah.
the more he plays, the more I'm going to be just excited to just watch him because he's a top class talent.
Yeah, I think the one for me as well, FPL wise, would be Luca Digne. I think he's a left back who offers a lot more just than defensive work. Obviously, set pieces as well, Rod. I think he's a brilliant signing. Jack, how impressed were you with Villa? I think they've had a really good window.
I think they've had a good window. I think Gerrard knew what he wanted, bar them getting a CDM. They knew they needed a left back who could go forward and create chances as well as just defend. And in the Prem, Luca Digne has been up there with the most assists. He's dropped off a bit this year. But
I think that's fair though. He has been playing at Everton and they're shite, so
I think that 25 or 25 mil for a Premier League proven player who has got assists consistently in an Everton team, I think is a great signing, and obviously a player that Gerrard really wanted. Same with Coutinho, just adds a lot of talent to the team.
Yeah.
Just a lot of technically going forward, like him and Buendia, very creative players that can really create chances for Watkins, and I do think that is Villa's front three. And I just think that
Shame you can't finish them, right, Rod?
Yeah, I just think Villa got the players that they wanted, bar a CDM, which I think
in
a good transfer window.
I think Basuma's the one they wanted, but obviously couldn't get a deal done. I think you'll probably revisit him though in the summer, right, Rod?
I think we had a 40 million bid rejected on deadline day for him. I think in the summer, when he's nearing the end of his contract, there's going to be many more suitors. So I think it's going to be even harder to get him in the summer. I think January is when, if we wanted him, we had to get him with less people interested. And in the summer, I think it's going to be a free-for-all. So I can see him get a move in the summer, but I don't think it'll be to Villa.
Yeah, too bad. I remember he was like, "Oh yeah, we're looking at Kamara," and I was like, "Oh yeah, the one from Marseille." And at the time, you didn't think it was that one. You thought it was the one from Rangers. And I was watching the Rangers game the other day. I'm like, "You sure you're after this Kamara? He's pretty shite." But I think Kamara could be another option in the summer as well. Rod, obviously his contract's running out. I don't think a move materialised for him on deadline day. The last club though, Rod, is Arsenal, and they've made a real big signing in Austin Trusty from the Colorado Rapids. He's gone back on loan to the Colorado Rapids. I mean, first of all, let's talk incomings. There was obviously after a striker, Rod. How big of how hard is this on them? Because I think that's the position they're really lacking in. Obviously, Barcelona's contract was terminated, I think, in the end, for him to go to Barcelona. They need a striker, really. They got Nketiah and Lacazette, but they need one, Rod. And top four is also available for them, and it's really going to hurt them, right?
I think 100% they needed a striker, and it's just going to add to their problems of not being able to score goals. Obviously, they've got some exciting, talented youth players, but you need experience, you need goals, and that could be where Arsenal fall a bit short. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get top four purely on the basis of not being able to score enough goals to win games.
I think that's... I don't see them getting top four, personally. I think... I've never rated them that highly. Personally, I think if they would have got Vlahovic, I would have been really, worried about them potentially getting top four. But without a striker, Jack, I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I think that if they really wanted to, I feel like it's similar to the West Ham situation where I feel like this season, there's so many people going top 4, and it isn't just a clear-cut top 4, more of a top 3, and then everyone fighting for that last place. If they really went for it and tried to get Vahalovic, they could have. This was their chance to get top 4, I reckon. And now, without a striker, I think they'll struggle for goals. And I just think the teams around them are just going to be better than them now, because they haven't really added. And I just don't think their squad's enough to get top 4.
Yeah.
But with a striker, then potentially they might have.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's going to be the question at the end of the day. If they don't make it, will we have got a striker there? Anyway, guys, who is the transfer from January you need to have in your FPL team? For me, there's only one man. I think it's Digne. What do you think, Rod?
Wout Weghorst.
Really? Okay.
I think at 6.5 million, he's great value, and with Burnley set to play, well, they've got more than 20 games I think left to play. I think he's gonna score some goals, and he's gonna keep Burnley up, and I'm gonna be right.
Okay, Jack, who's the man for you?
It's Weghorst for me as well, solely on that they've got so many games in hand, like the amount of double game weeks.
Yeah, and the price as well.
And him being their main striker now, for that price and all those double game weeks, I think that's a no-brainer. And Eriksen as well, if he plays and when he plays.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You got a couple of cheap ones there, and I think Digne for me, just because of the set pieces. I think Villa are pretty solid defensively as well. Really exciting one. I don't think you're wrong with Weghorst, the amount of games he's got left, and Eriksen definitely worth a shout, depending on what sort of player he is and how long it's going to take him to come into the team. But there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. Been a pleasure for you it's been a pleasure for us to do this for you. Until next time, we'll see you. Bye.